There are some lines you're never supposed to cross. Friend's ex-married man. And your boss. Everyone knows the rules. I knew the rules. I just didn't expect my heart to ignore them. This isn't a story about ambition. It's not about power. And it's definitely not glamorous. It's about loneliness, timing, weakness, and how one decision almost destroyed everything I worked for. My name is Ava Reynolds. At 27, I was finally where I wanted to be. Marketing executive at a fast-growing tech company in the city. Long hours. Competitive environment. High expectations. I loved it. Not because it was easy, but because I had earned it. I grew up watching my mother struggle after my father left. I learned early that security wasn't guaranteed. So I built mine. Carefully. Strategically. Emotionally detached. At least, that's what I told myself. The day I got promoted to senior campaign manager, everything changed. Because that was the day I started reporting directly to him. Daniel Carter. My boss. He wasn't what I expected. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't cold. He was composed. Observant. Quietly intense. The kind of man who didn't raise his voice, but when he spoke, the room listened. He was 38. Divorced. No children. Respected in the company. And very, very off-limits. Our first meeting was strictly professional. You earned this position, he said, reviewing my portfolio. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. It was simple encouragement. But something about the way he said it felt personal. Like he meant it. And I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear that. The project that bonded us was brutal. A global campaign launch. Impossible deadline. Endless revisions. Most of the team left by 7 p.m. But he stayed. And so did I. At first, it was strictly work. Brainstorming ideas. Reviewing numbers. Fixing mistakes. But somewhere between takeout dinners and 11 p.m. elevator rides, the conversations shifted. What made you choose marketing? He asked one night. Control, I replied honestly. He looked at me. Control over what? My future. He nodded slowly. I understand that. And in that moment, I realized something. He wasn't just my boss. He was a man who understood survival. Nothing inappropriate happened. No touching. No flirting. Just awareness. The way his eyes lingered a second too long. The way he remembered small details about my life. The way I noticed when he was tired before he admitted it. Office gossip travels fast. So we were careful. Professional. Distant in public. But tension doesn't need witnesses to exist. One night, during a power outage in the building, we were stuck in the emergency-lit conference room. Just the two of us. The city glowing faintly outside the window. It's strange, he said quietly. I trust you more than most people here. My heart pounded. You barely know me. I know enough. Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. And that's when I realized. This wasn't just admiration anymore. It was something deeper. And far more complicated. The first crack came from someone else. My coworker and closest friend, Jenna. You need to be careful, she said one afternoon. About what? About him. I tried to play dumb. We're just working closely. She gave me a look. Ava. You think people don't notice? My stomach tightened. Notice what? The way he looks at you. That night, I stared at myself in the mirror longer than usual. Was I imagining it? Was I projecting? Or were we both standing on the edge of something we couldn't afford? Because here's the truth. He wasn't just my boss. He was the CEO's right hand. HR policies were clear. Relationships within reporting lines were prohibited. If this crossed a line, I wouldn't just lose credibility. I could lose my career. Everything I built. Everything my mother sacrificed for. And yet, when my phone buzzed later that evening with a message from him. Great work today. I couldn't have done it without you. My heart betrayed my logic. The campaign launched successfully. The board celebrated. Drinks were involved. Too many. Music was loud. Professional walls were thin. He found me on the balcony outside the event space. City lights reflecting in the glass. "You did incredible work," he said softly. "So did you." Silence. The kind that isn't empty. The kind that's full of everything unspoken. "You ever wonder," he began slowly, "what life would look like if we met somewhere else?" My breath caught. "Somewhere without titles," he added. It was the first time he acknowledged it. The thing between us. I should have stepped back. I should have said we were being irresponsible. Instead, I asked the question that changed everything. Would it be easier? He didn't answer with words. He stepped closer. Not touching. Just close enough that I felt the warmth of him. And in that suspended moment, I knew. If I leaned forward even slightly, there would be no going back. I wish I could say I walked away. I didn't. The first kiss wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. It was hesitant. Almost questioning. But once it happened, everything shifted. The guilt hit me instantly. Not because it was wrong morally, but because it was reckless. We pulled apart quickly. "This can't happen again," I whispered. He nodded. "You're right." But desire doesn't disappear just because it's inconvenient. We didn't become reckless lovers. We became careful ones. Stolen conversations. Private dinners outside the city. Separate arrivals. Separate departures. We told ourselves it was temporary. That we were adults. That we could manage it. But secrets are heavy. They change how you move. How you speak. How you breathe in rooms full of people. Jenna noticed. HR noticed. The CEO started watching more closely. And then came the email that made my blood run cold. Mandatory executive review meeting, attendance required. Rumors were spreading. And suddenly, this wasn't romantic tension anymore. It was risk. Real risk. My promotion. My reputation. My future. All hanging by a thread. I fell for my boss. And in doing so, I forgot one important truth. Love can feel powerful. But power inside the wrong setting can destroy you. Secrets don't explode all at once. They leak. In glances. In whispers. In the way a room goes quiet when you walk in. And once people start looking for something, they usually find it. The executive review meeting was scheduled for 9 a.m. sharp. No agenda attached. Just a list of names. Mine included. So was his. That alone made my stomach twist. Daniel didn't text that morning. Didn't call. Professional distance had never felt so cold. When I walked into the conference room, the air felt different. The CEO sat at the head of the table. HR was present. Legal, too. This wasn't routine. This was investigation. Daniel entered seconds after I did. He didn't look at me. Didn't acknowledge me. He took his seat like this was any other Monday. And I realized something terrifying. We were about to see how strong this connection really was. It started gently. Questions about the campaign. Budgets. Timelines. Performance metrics. Then HR leaned forward. "There have been concerns raised regarding professional boundaries within this department." My pulse pounded in my ears. Daniel remained calm. "What kind of concerns?" he asked evenly. "Specifically," she continued, "about your working relationship with Ava." There it was. My name felt heavier than usual. Have there been any interactions outside professional expectations? HR asked. Silence. This was the moment. If he said no, confidently, it would buy us time. If he hesitated, we were finished. Daniel didn't look at me, but I could feel the tension radiating from him. "Our collaboration has been project-focused," he replied. "Technically true. Just not entirely. And outside of office hours." HR pressed. "Occasionally," he said. "Campaign deadlines required it." Still true. Still incomplete. They turned to me. "Ava." My throat tightened. Every career milestone I fought for flashed in my mind. My mother working double shifts. My first apartment. The pride I felt earning this promotion. One sentence could end it. No professional boundaries have been crossed, I said carefully. It wasn't a lie. Not in that room. But it was the beginning of something worse. Because once you protect a secret publicly, you bind yourself to it privately. After the meeting, everything changed. Not publicly, but internally. Daniel pulled back. No late-night messages. No private dinners. No balcony conversations. Strictly professional. I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt abandoned. We had chosen this together. Why did it suddenly feel like I was standing alone? One evening, I confronted him in his office after hours. "You're avoiding me." He closed the file in front of him slowly. "I'm protecting you. By acting like I don't exist. By making sure this doesn't destroy your future." His voice wasn't cold. It was controlled. And that hurt more. "You think I can't handle consequences?" I asked. "I think I've already handled too many," he replied quietly. And for the first time, I saw fear in him. Not for himself. For me. Rumors evolve when they're fed silence. A week later, Jenna pulled me aside again. "It's getting worse," she whispered. "What is?" "People think you only got promoted because of him." The words felt like a slap. "That's not true." "I know that," she said quickly. "But perception matters." I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't just about love anymore. It was about credibility. Respect. Years of hard work being reduced to whispers. And suddenly, I wasn't scared of HR. I was scared of becoming a stereotype. The ambitious woman who slept her way up. Even though the promotion came before anything happened. Even though I earned it. Truth doesn't matter much once a story starts spreading. The pressure built quietly. Daniel became colder in meetings. More distant in public. Hyper-professional. I understood why. But understanding didn't make it easier. One night, I sent him a message. "Do you regret it?" He replied 20 minutes later. "I regret the timing." That answer hurt more than a yes. Because it meant what we felt was real. Just wrong place. Wrong structure. Wrong hierarchy. We met once more outside the city, a place no one from work would recognize. There was no passion this time. Just heaviness. "This is starting to cost you," he said. "It's costing you too." "I'm replaceable," he replied. "You're building something." That sentence split something open inside me. Why was he so ready to sacrifice himself? And why did that make me love him more? 2 weeks later, it happened. An anonymous complaint filed formally with HR. Alleging favoritism. Inappropriate relationship. Ethics violation. This wasn't rumor anymore. This was documentation. Legal language. Possible suspension pending review. I was called in first. HR was less gentle this time. If a relationship exists, disclosure is required immediately. My palms were sweating. "If not," she continued, "understand that dishonesty will have permanent consequences." Permanent. That word echoed. I walked out of that office shaking. Daniel was waiting in the hallway. "They're escalating," I whispered. He nodded once. "I know." "Someone filed something." "I know." "How?" He looked exhausted. "Because they came to me too." The world felt smaller suddenly. Less stable. "This could end my career," I said quietly. He didn't deny it. And that was the first moment I truly understood the weight of what we had done. Love felt powerful in private. But in public, it felt like exposure. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at my ceiling until 3 a.m. There were only 2 options now. Deny everything and hope the investigation fails. Or confess, and accept whatever followed. But confession wouldn't just affect me. It would affect him. His position. His authority. His reputation. I met him the next evening. We didn't hug. Didn't kiss. Didn't even stand close. We need to tell them, I said. He closed his eyes briefly. If we do, you'll be transferred. Demoted at best. And if we don't? They'll keep digging. Silence stretched between us. Painful. Adult. Real. I never meant for you to carry this risk, he said softly. I chose it too. That was the truth. No manipulation. No imbalance. Just two people who crossed a line knowing it was there. But knowing doesn't erase consequences. And love doesn't protect you from systems designed to prevent exactly this. I thought the hardest part would be admitting I loved him. I was wrong. The hardest part was realizing love might require me to lose the very future I fought so hard to build. And I had to decide. Was he worth it? Or was I about to sacrifice everything for a feeling that might not survive the fallout? There's a moment in every mistake when you realize it's no longer reversible. Not because you don't want to fix it, but because the damage has already spread. And once truth steps into the light, it doesn't whisper. It exposes. We didn't sleep the night before the final HR meeting. There was no dramatic goodbye. No desperate promises. Just quiet understanding. When we walked into that room the next morning, we walked in separately. But this time, we weren't going to lie. HR began formally. We are giving both of you one final opportunity to clarify the nature of your relationship. Daniel spoke first. Yes, he said calmly. A relationship developed outside the workplace. The word relationship echoed like a verdict. They turned to me. Was there coercion of any kind? HR asked. No, I said immediately. None. Was there professional favoritism? No. That part was true. Painfully true. The promotion came before the first kiss. But perception doesn't wait for timelines. We understand the violation of company policy, Daniel continued. Responsibility falls on me. My chest tightened. No, I said. It was mutual. HR exchanged looks. Legal scribbled notes. And I understood something then. This wasn't about love. It was about liability. The outcome came 3 days later. Daniel was asked to resign. Not fired, but strongly encouraged. A mutual separation. Reputation protected publicly. Removed privately. As for me, I wasn't terminated. But I was reassigned. Demoted back to campaign associate. Under a different executive. Different floor. Different team. No announcement. No explanation. Just a quiet shift. In corporate language, that's mercy. In reality, it felt like humiliation. The office knew. They always know. And suddenly, the respect I built felt fragile. Earned once. Questioned forever. Daniel left without ceremony. No farewell party. No goodbye email to the entire company. Just a brief note thanking the team for their collaboration. He texted me that night. It's done. I stared at the message for a long time. This was what we were protecting. And now he was gone. I'm sorry, I typed back. For what? He replied. For costing you this. There was a pause before his answer came. You didn't cost me anything. I made a choice. That should have comforted me. It didn't. Because now the power imbalance was gone. The secrecy was gone. The risk was gone. And what remained was the question we had been avoiding. Without the intensity. Without the danger. Without the proximity. What were we? The hardest blow didn't come from HR. It came from someone I trusted. Jenna. She asked to meet for coffee. She didn't look angry. She looked disappointed. You should have told me, she said quietly. I couldn't. I defended you. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I told people the rumors were sexist. That you earned your promotion. She swallowed. And now it looks like I was wrong. I felt the shame crawl up my spine. You weren't wrong, I said. I did earn it. But the relationship still happened. Her words weren't cruel. They were factual. And that made them worse. I needed a friend, I whispered. And I needed honesty, she replied. Sometimes losing respect hurts more than losing love. Weeks passed. I adjusted to my new role. Smaller office. Fewer responsibilities. More eyes watching. Daniel and I tried to continue. Now openly. Now aloud. Dinner dates without secrecy. Phone calls without fear. But something had shifted. The adrenaline was gone. The urgency was gone. And in its place was reality. One night, over dinner, he looked at me carefully. "Are you happy?" he asked. "With you? With all of this?" I didn't answer immediately. Because I didn't know. "I don't regret loving you," I said slowly. "But I don't recognize my life right now." He nodded. I was afraid of that. Love isn't always enough to fix consequences. Sometimes it just exposes them. It happened quietly. No shouting. No tears at first. Just honesty. "You're rebuilding," he said. "And I don't want to be the reason you feel stuck." "You're not. But I'm tied to the reason your career paused." Paused. That word hurt. Because it felt true. "You didn't ask me to choose you over work," I said. "But you did," he replied gently. And that's when I realized something painful. Even if we didn't mean to. We had chosen each other over everything else. And now we were living inside the consequences of that choice. "I don't want you to resent me one day," he said quietly. "I don't want to resent myself either," I admitted. Silence filled the space between us. Not angry. Just heavy. And sometimes, heavy love is harder than no love at all. We didn't end because we stopped loving each other. We ended because timing matters. Structure matters. Stability matters. And we had shaken all three. "I need to find out who I am in that office again," I said. "And I need to rebuild outside of it," he replied. There was no dramatic goodbye kiss. Just a long embrace. The kind that knows it's the last. "I don't regret you," he whispered. "I don't regret you either." And for once, that was completely true. The office slowly stopped whispering. New scandals replaced old ones. Work piled up. And I worked harder than ever. Not to prove them wrong. But to prove to myself that I was still capable. That my success wasn't attached to anyone else. Months later, I was given a new project. A major one. No favoritism. No shortcuts. Just performance. And when the campaign succeeded, it felt different this time. It felt earned in a way that no one could question. I fell for my boss. And yes, it almost cost me everything. My promotion. My reputation. My closest friendship. The version of myself that believed I was untouchable. But it also taught me something I didn't expect. Love isn't wrong. But where you place it matters. And sometimes, choosing love in the wrong structure doesn't mean you're foolish. It just means you're human. Time doesn't erase consequences. But it softens the sharp edges. It gives you space to see what really happened, without anger, without fantasy, without denial. 6 months after Daniel left the company, I stopped thinking about the scandal. But I didn't stop thinking about him. Work became my focus again. Not obsessively. Not defensively. But intentionally. I volunteered for projects no one wanted. I stayed late, not to impress anyone, but to sharpen myself. The whispers eventually faded. People moved on. They always do. And one afternoon, something unexpected happened. The CEO called me into his office. Not HR. Not legal. Just him. "I've been reviewing the Q3 results," he said, sliding a report across the desk. "Your strategy increased engagement by 30%. I nodded carefully. "Thank you." He leaned back in his chair. "You made a mistake," he said plainly. "But your performance has been undeniable." My pulse quickened. "We're restructuring leadership for the upcoming expansion. I want you back in a senior role." The room felt still. Not because of the promotion, but because of what it represented. Redemption. Earned. Alone. No attachment to anyone else. "Thank you," I said, and this time I felt it fully. I heard about Daniel through LinkedIn. A new position. Another firm. Smaller company. Creative director. He looked lighter in his profile photo. Less corporate. More himself. For weeks, I debated reaching out. What would I even say? Hi. I survived the fallout. Did you? But one evening, after a glass of wine and too much nostalgia, I typed a message. I heard about your new role. I hope you're building something you're proud of. I didn't expect a reply immediately. He responded within 10 minutes. I am. And I heard about yours too. I always knew you'd rebuild. That word again. Rebuild. Not return. Not recover. Rebuild. We agreed to meet. Neutral ground. No secrecy. No hierarchy. Just two adults who once made a complicated choice. When I saw him again, something surprised me. The intensity was gone. Not the connection. Just the urgency. He looked at me the way he used to. But there was no pressure behind it. No stolen moment waiting to happen. How are you? He asked gently. Stronger. I replied honestly. He smiled. I can see that. We talked for hours. About work. About therapy. Yes, both of us had gone. About what we learned. I should have stepped back sooner, he admitted quietly. I was your boss. That responsibility was mine first. I wasn't powerless, I said. I chose it too. We didn't rewrite history. We didn't romanticize it. We owned it. And somehow, that made it softer. Eventually, it surfaced. So, he said carefully, what are we now? I stared at my coffee for a long moment. I don't know. That was the honest answer. Because this time, there was no forbidden thrill. No workplace tension. No stolen glances across conference tables. If we chose each other now, it would be deliberate. Intentional. And slower. I don't want to disrupt your life again, he said. You didn't disrupt it, I replied. We both did. Silence lingered. Then he asked the question that mattered. If we met today, no history, no hierarchy, would you still choose me? I thought about the girl who fell for her boss. The woman who lost her position. The professional who rebuilt her name. And the person sitting across from him now. Yes, I said softly. But differently. We didn't rush back into anything. No dramatic reunion kiss. No immediate labels. We dated. Like normal people. Weekend brunches. Long walks. Arguments about small things that had nothing to do with power dynamics. And something surprising happened. Without secrecy, without risk, without imbalance. It felt calmer. Safer. Real. One night, months later, he reached for my hand across the table and said, I'm proud of you. Not for loving him. Not for surviving scandal. But for rebuilding without bitterness. And that meant more than any late-night confession ever did. I fell for my boss. And yes, it almost cost me everything. My title. My credibility. My friendship. My stability. But it also forced me to confront something uncomfortable. I had built my life on control. On structure. On careful planning. And love doesn't operate that way. Love is unpredictable. Messy. Imperfect. But where you place it matters. How you protect yourself inside it matters. And whether it stands on equal ground matters most of all. If I could go back, would I change it? Maybe the timing. Maybe the secrecy. Maybe the kiss on that balcony. But not the lesson. Because now I know this. Love shouldn't cost you your identity. It shouldn't demand your silence. And it shouldn't exist in shadows. And if it does, it won't survive the light. A year later, I stood in a new office. Corner view. Not because someone gave it to me. Because I earned it. Daniel walked in that evening to meet me for dinner. Not as my boss. Not as a secret. Just as the man I chose, carefully this time. He smiled at me. You look like you belong here. I did. Not because I never fell. But because I got back up. I fell for my boss. And it almost cost me everything. But in losing what wasn't built to last, I finally learned how to build something that was.